Hello, good morning, and welcome from the third generation electric smart Fortwo. It's actually probably second generation electric, but third generation smart. So what is this smart electric drive? It's a smart which looks pretty much like a smart, and now it's got up to 160 kilometers range, top speed up to 130 kilometers per hour. Not that you're going to use it. You can charge it from a 220 volt socket or from one of these, what are they, stage 2 chargers, the slightly faster chargers that sort of cut the charging time in half. So instead of 6 hours, you're going to charge it for 3, something like that. Anyway, it seems like a reasonable proposition for the city, and I had very big plans for this car. Now, let me give you a introduction, or let me give you the context of this review. Now, today it's the 22nd of January, so it's 2 days before Christmas, Friday, just before the weekend, and a friend of mine who was actually test driving this car, a fellow journalist, said he doesn't have time because he's picking up another car and he's got to do his Christmas shopping, etc., etc. Plus, he doesn't have anywhere to charge this car. We'll get to that in a moment. So he said, take this car from me, drive it for a couple of days, do whatever you like with it, and hand it back to Mercedes, Daimler, from where I am picking up another Mercedes-Benz car today. I took this car from him, I charged it, and yesterday I had very big plans for this car. I had a trip planned, which was about 100 kilometers. So I thought, it's got a 160 kilometers theoretical range, so 100 kilometers, it'll do no problem whatsoever. Only it doesn't. Now, we go back almost 6 years to February 2012. It was minus 15 degrees in Poland back then, and I had second generation Smart, the kind of more boxy one, with electric drive as well. That car would do up to 100 kilometers per hour. The theoretical range was up to 130 kilometers per hour, but it was very, very cold. I didn't know how to precondition the car. I didn't know anything about preconditioning the car. So I just unplugged it from the socket in the morning, and I drove in this freezing weather for about 80 kilometers, and it would have done about 85, I think. But the last couple of kilometers, it shut the heater off, etc., to conserve energy. But anyway, 80 kilometers in minus 15 degrees Celsius weather, it did it. Yesterday, when I was driving this car, I had to go on the ring road to one place. I was driving 80 kilometers per hour, so no speeding, no top speed run, anything like that. From there, I had to drive through the city to another city, sort of Warsaw suburb, let's call it, and back home. The whole trip was supposed to be 100 kilometers. Now, at the end of the ring road, which was about 30 kilometers drive, range fell from 150, when I unplugged it, to about 75. So I knew it wasn't going anywhere. After driving it around the city for 5 or 10 kilometers, the range fell even more. So about halfway through my trip, I knew that it wouldn't make it home. And there's nowhere, literally nowhere to charge these cars in Warsaw. There is an energy company which has these sockets in front of its headquarters and in front of its offices, let's say. But these are not very conveniently located, so I would have to leave the car, walk 3 kilometers to where I needed to be, and walk back. So yeah, of course, it would give me plenty of time to charge, but it was drizzling, it was around 0, not minus 15, it was around 0, and, it just didn't make sense at all. So I actually had to go back home, leave the car, take my Mazda MX-5, and do the rest of Christmas, whatever, trip shopping, etc. in my Mazda MX-5, which, by the way, has a slightly bigger boot to the window line, because if I filled it up to the roof, it would be double the size. But anyway, my Mazda MX-5 proved to be a great car again. Now, about charging. Charging in Poland is a challenge because, as I said, there aren't many public electric sockets to charge it from. Around the place where I was going, there is this kind of research institute of the Polish Academy of Science, and they even have is it Chademo or Shademo? Write in the comments whether it's Cha or Sha. They have the fast charger over there. I don't need the fast charger for this car, but I thought, maybe I can go there. But I checked what are the conditions for charging the car in the Research Institute of the Polish Academy of Science. So you have to write them a letter 2 weeks in advance and an email, and give them all your personal data for the car, etc., etc. So it was actually impossible to charge the car over there, and there wasn't any conveniently located socket along the way. So basically, 6 years after the previous electric drive Smart, this Smart uses about twice as much energy as it's supposed to. It's supposed to use around 12 or 13 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. I'm driving right now very gingerly, and I'm recuperating whenever possible, and I'm using about 20 kilowatt hours. So that's a bit too much, I would say. You're lucky to get 100 kilometers out of it. You would probably need to charge it at least once a day, sort of, to be sure you're gonna make it back home if you're planning a longer trip. It's like an older smartphone that you always need to have a charger somewhere ready, because you never know when it's gonna die. It's expensive because a normal Smart costs about 11,000 euro, and this one costs about 22,000 euro plus options, so it is rather expensive. I'm sure in some cities you're going to get incentives to make it worthwhile, but not in Poland, not in Warsaw. I'm really disappointed. I thought this car is going to get some decent range. I mean, 160 kilometers, you'd expect it to do at least 120, whatever the weather. I mean, I could turn the heater off completely, and then my range jumps 10 kilometers, but it is 3 degrees outside. So I would like my heater back on. And I'm driving in eco mode, and I'm barely using any power, and still this car won't make it through the day. Okay, so there is research which says that average European drives whatever 20, 30 kilometers a day, depending on which car company and what pathetic range they're offering. But yesterday was a day that I needed to do a lot of pre-Christmas chores, let's say, and 100 kilometers was nothing extraordinary. I mean, sometimes you have to drive to the city from the suburbs, and you would like to drive back, and you can't. So 6 years later, Smart did virtually nothing with this car, realistically, because theoretically they did, but realistically it's the same car, it only looks nicer. So anyway, sorry about my whinging about this electric drive Smart. I thought it was going to be much better. Unfortunately, it isn't. Yeah, unless you live in a densely populated city with a lot of chargers around, don't buy the electric Smart. Sorry.